Well, hello again, and welcome to another edition of Weird News and Wacky History, a look behind the scenes at what's been happening through the years. I'm your host, Pastor Roland Moss, that old history dude. Say, remember growing up, sitting in front of the television set on a Saturday morning watching cartoons? Weren't those great days? Why don't you come along with me as we find out who the people were who were giving voice to the cartoons? On January 21st, 1961, Melvin Jerome Blanc was involved in a head-on collision at Dead Man's Curve on Sunset Boulevard. Almost every bone in his body was broken, while the other driver escaped with minor injuries. Rushed to UCLA Medical Center and placed in a full-body cast, Blanc was comatose for 3 weeks and not expected to live. Then his neurosurgeon had a brainstorm. He asked the unconscious man, "How you feeling today, Bugs Bunny?"
Just fine, Doc,"
came the faint reply.
"How are you?"
Then the doctor tried again. "And Porky Pig, how are you feeling?"
Just fine, thanks."
Came the slightly stronger reply. The voice of such other characters as Tweety Bird, Yosemite Sam, Marvin the Martian, Sylvester, and Daffy Duck, Blanc would make a full recovery. But the show must go on, so the entire cast gathered in his hospital room, now doubling as a sound studio, to record the voice track for the Bugs Bunny show. Moved to his Pacific Palisade home, Blanc would record the voice of Barney Rubble for more than 40 episodes of the Flintstones while the rest of the cast gathered around his bed. He might be battered and bruised, but Bugs Bunny was definitely alive and well. But there were other famous voices bringing cartoons to life as well. Everyone remembers Mel Blanc, the voice of so many cartoon characters. Called the man of 1,000 voices, he brought to life Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, Sylvester the Cat, Tweety Bird, Yosemite Sam, and many others for Warner Brothers, as well as voicing Barney Rubble for the Flintstones and Mr. Spacely and the Jetsons for Hanna-Barbera. But who did the female characters? Meet June Foray, a gal of all trades doing radio, television, audio recordings, especially with Stan Freberg, video games, feature films, theater, and even talking toys. She's considered instrumental in the establishment of the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature in 2001. She was the voice of Rocky the Flying Squirrel, Dudley Do-Right's Nell Fenwick, and Natasha Fatale on The Rocky and Bullwinkle Show, Jokey Smurf, Lucifer the Cat in Disney's Cinderella, Knothead and Splinter in Woody Woodpecker, Cindy Lou Who in How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Granny, Tweety Bird's owner, Grammy Gummy, Magica De Spell in the Disney Duck universe, and the voice of the Chatty Cathy doll in the 1960s. Warner Brothers animator Chuck Jones summed up her career like this: June Foray is not the female Mel Blanc. Mel Blanc is the male June Foray. She died in 2017 at age 99. Sometimes voice actors moonlight in other jobs. Gerald Lorenzo Music had a voice people loved to listen to. His words proved uniquely soothing no matter what he was saying. Born May 2nd in 1937, Music grew up in Duluth, Minnesota. With a voice like his, it's no wonder that he flourished at the University of Minnesota's drama department, where he met and eventually married Henrietta, his lifelong love and a fellow performer. In 1967, he switched to writing, joining the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour, although occasionally appearing on screen with his banjo and ukulele. Deciding variety shows were on the way out, Lorenzo worked as story editor on The Mary Tyler Moore Show, The Bob Newhart Show, and Rhoda. He wrote for other shows, but his unique vocal cords kept getting him involved in performance. He voiced numerous commercials and countless cartoon shows throughout the years until finally offered his role that made him eternally famous in 1982. He'd make it distinctly his for the next 20 years. In later years, he frequently volunteered as a suicide hotline operator. Even the most despondent and suicidal caller would soon be saying, "Hey, you sound just like that cat on TV." Lorenzo Music, the voice of Garfield the cat, died August 4th, 2001. One of a kind to the end. Sometimes it takes a tough voice actor to play a tender character. Don Dunnigan was a tough guy. In 1952, at age 18, he enlisted in the Marine Corps, quickly becoming one of the youngest drill instructors. Following 3 tours of duty in Vietnam, he retired a major in 1977 with a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart. But Don had a secret that would have made his life miserable in the military if it ever got out. It all came flashing back during one mission in Southeast Asia. A grenade exploded beside Dunnigan, then a shot felled him. A young sergeant by his side said, "Sir, get up. You have to get up. You have to get up, sir." And suddenly Major Don Dunnigan was a 5-year-old Donnie Dunnigan again. Little Donnie had already been in 6 films by that tender age, and his agent had a great part lined up for him in a Western. Then Walt Disney called. He wanted Donnie to read for a part in a new feature about animals in the forest. When Donnie's agent screamed that it would ruin his career, the Dunnigans fired him and went with Disney Studios instead. And so Don Dunnigan became the voice of Bambi, whose dad told the injured fawn, "Bambi, get up. You have to get up." And both times, as a little fawn and as a wounded soldier, he got up. That's about all the time we have for this episode of Weird News and Wacky History, a look behind the scenes of what's been happening through the years. I'm your host, Pastor Roland Moss, author, historian, and speaker, hoping that all of your history may be just a little bit weird.